watching the live stream on Facebook. I'm Reverend Carmela, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you today. So today we're continuing our series on Eric Butterworth's The 7 Main Aspects of Truth. So far, we've covered the law of being, the law of unfoldment, and today we're looking at the law of attraction. The law of attraction got a lot of attention with the publication of the book The Secret in 2006, but it only covered a portion of the law. And it did cause some confusion. So today, hopefully, that confusion will be cleared up. Eric says that without being aware of it, many people live with a subconscious belief of injustice. That there's a hidden belief that life is a game of chance. Some people of luck are lucky and some are not. As students of truth, we know that there is a divine order to the universe, but we don't see that within the world. This is why Jesus said, as recorded in John 7:24, do not judge by appearances, but use right judgment. It appears to our human selves that some people may be lucky and others are not. And when we see injustices and pain in the world and in our lives, we ask why. This is where the law of attraction comes in. It's a simple law, but not easy to accept because it's directly related to where we are in consciousness. This law is best expressed in Jesus' statement as recorded in Mark 4:25 that says, "For to those who have, more will be given, and from those who have nothing, even what they have will be taken away." Now that sounds like the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Doesn't sound very fair, or doesn't sound very just, does it? Well, Eric compares the idea with a magnet. A magnet has ensouled within it a force of magnetic attraction. So if you run it through iron shavings, the shavings will attach themselves to it. It's the magnetic attraction that makes it a magnet. If you take another piece of steel shaped like a magnet and run it through those steel shavings, nothing will happen because the magnetic attraction is not ensouled within that piece of steel. So by saying for to those who have, more will be given, Jesus is telling us that the person who has ensouled within their consciousness this magnetic attraction will draw to them more and more because their awareness and relationship is with that divine flow. A person without that awareness will not, as Jesus said, and from those who have nothing, even what they have will be taken away. Because the person who does not have that consciousness, that awareness, that insight, that relationship with the divine flow, not only will not draw things to them, but when they do, it won't have its holding power. It's all dependent on where we are in consciousness. Honest and look at ourselves when we experience disappointment, when we have those experiences, are we able to see God through them? If we can't move past our human experience, Eric says it's like looking through the wrong end of binoculars. We're seeing with a very small portion of our sight. Now, let me be clear. I'm not talking about denying what's going on. We absolutely do not deny the human experience. But we have the choice to see through it, to see it with our human eyes, or to see it through the eyes of Christ, our Christ within. When we see through the eyes of our Christ by focusing on truth, on focusing on the allness of God, the concept in which we create and have a conviction, we know that we live in an orderly universe. Injustice can't exist in the universe, or the universe would lack integrity. The perceived injustice then is a lack of perspective and a lack of awareness of the divine process that is always working, even in the midst of negative experiences. It all comes down to consciousness. Where are we in consciousness? As we said earlier, so many people believe that life is a game of chance. Some people have good luck and others do not. Eric says that luck is probably the most flourishing excuse for misfortune because it's the most convenient answer. It enables us to be the innocent victim in an unknown, sinister force. To understand that the law of consciousness
Carmela, you froze. Mm-mm. I'm thinking, Carmela, you might have to go downstairs to Denny and use her computer. Well, hello, everybody. While we're waiting.
Okay, I'm
There you are.
and where what was the last thing you heard?
It all comes down to consciousness.
There
Yeah,
are
it
no
all-
experiences that are unrelated to consciousness?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Then that's where I'll pick up.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are no experiences that are unrelated to consciousness. And Eric uses the example of someone that experiences a fender bender. Someone's driving along the road, another driver's not paying attention, hits the first driver. The first driver's perspective is that it's not his fault. The other person wasn't paying attention. But there's no such thing as luck or chance. There's no such thing as an accident. All things are a result of the law of attraction, the law of consciousness, and there are no experiences that are unrelated to consciousness. That doesn't mean that we blame ourselves for everything and feel bad about it. That's committing metaphysical malpractice. And metaphysical malpractice is when we take a spiritual truth and use it against ourselves. When we experience something like that fender bender, it just means we need to pay attention to the experiences we encounter in life because the universe is nudging us to look at it. If we're veering off in the wrong direction, the universe nudges us to get back on track. These nudgings show up in our life in different ways. Divine law gives us gentle nudgings, and that means that in that particular moment, whatever the mishap was, something in divine law was coming back to us to let us know that the law of attraction is working. And if it's not a positive experience, then there's something we need to look at within our consciousness. Eric says if we're not willing to acknowledge and accept these nudgings, then we miss a divine appointment. And perhaps the next time the nudging won't be quite as gentle. And you know, I've had experiences where the nudging wasn't easy and gentle. It's what I call getting hit on the head by a cosmic two by four. And that's happened more than once. So if we go back and take that person who was in that minor fender bender, maybe there was something within him that he needed to look at. Maybe he was taking his car for granted, or maybe he wasn't paying attention. These are all things to let us know that, oh, I need to change something in my thought. There are no experiences unrelated to consciousness, regardless of what it looks like in the world. The law of attraction, the law of consciousness is always involved and always working. But there is good news. The good news is if we acknowledge this, we can begin to work with it and develop a kind of awareness which makes sure that we are always attracting the kinds of things that we desire and repelling the kind of things we don't want. Now, we're all familiar with Unity's third principle. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. We know we need to pay attention to our thoughts. We know that when we have a judgmental thought or a negative thought, we need to change that. Each of us is essentially a living magnet. We are always drawn to ourselves, things, peoples, and circumstances in accordance with our level of thought, in accordance to where we are in consciousness. I think we don't realize that the subconscious is always working. The subconscious never sleeps. So it's in our best interest to not try and figure out why something happened, but to reprogram, reorganize our conscious thoughts. Because when we do that, it affects the subconscious. So these little things can't come out and hit us. The nudgings start to disappear. When we accept what is going on, recognize that the universe is nudging us, we can build and elevate our consciousness so that we fine-tune the magnets that we are. In Matthew 6:30, Jesus says, "Lay up for yourself treasures in heaven." This means that within the world where we're constantly bombarded with negativity, we can continually instill within our consciousness positive awareness, the awareness that there is divine order in the universe, that within us resides a protecting power and presence that is always there, and that there's an endless flow of divine love and abundance regardless of what it looks like in the world. Do not judge by appearances. Lay up for yourself treasures in heaven. We do that by planting those positive vibrations. And when doing that, we are laying up treasures in heaven. And again, Eric addresses a lot the idea of luck, both good and bad luck. He says many people think that the hardest thing to do is to give, but actually the hardest thing to learn is how to receive. All good that comes our way is a gift and a blessing. It's not a matter of luck. If you attribute it to luck, then you're basically saying, I don't deserve this. The thing is, when we continue to build our consciousness, we're laying up treasures in heaven. We're in that energy of divine flow, and the blessings just flow. Eric tells a cute story about a couple, truth students, and how they use the power of blessing every day. The man traveled a lot for business and his wife worked from home. They wrote a song together and they would sing it every morning. The lyrics are, blessing the highways, blessing the byways, someone is traveling today. Blessing the airways, blessing the railways, someone is traveling today. And they would sing it when they were together, and they would sing it individually when they were apart. Not only were they blessing themselves, they were laying up treasures in heaven for safe travel, not only for themselves, but for all who traveled. Their blessings radiated outward, and it was extended to all. And in doing that, they were raising their own consciousness and vibrations, thus attracting only good to themselves. Remember, we're magnets, constantly drawing to us based on where we are in consciousness. You know, we say it over and over again. Be conscious of your thoughts. Be aware of your thoughts. When you have a negative thought, don't judge it. Look at it. Change it. Know that this is a hidden belief somewhere within me. I need to change this. Paul in Romans 8:28 says, to them that love God, all things work together for good. What he's saying that if you love God, you'll always be in the flow of good things. And how do we love God? By being open and receptive to the divine flow, by getting into the conscious awareness of the divine activity that is ever present in our life, by identifying with that presence, by being conscious in the awareness of being. We talked about that 2 weeks ago. Being, with capital BEING, the allness of God. When we keep that alive in us, then the promise is all good things work together for good. But be aware that all things work together for good. Not just some things, all things, even the seeming negative experiences. These seeming negative things are here to help us learn and grow, which is what we discussed last week regarding the law of unfoldment. We go through circumstances until we grow through them. Jesus said, in the world you have tribulation, but behold, I have overcome the world. And he's telling us we can do the same thing. Eric reminds us that we're out in the world. And when we're out in the world, we interact with people. And these people express various levels of consciousness. So we're going to run into negative experiences. But if we're centered in the awareness of oneness and the divine flow, then all things work together for good, regardless of what it looks like out there. Now, also part of the law of attraction is the law of repulsion. They're both part of the same law, two signs of the same force. When you have the consciousness of the activity of truth ensouled within your subconscious mind, then not only do you attract good things to you, but you repel that which is not in alignment with your consciousness. This works automatically. You will draw that which is good to you, and you will repel that which is destructive to you. So let's go back to the example of that person in the fender bender. You know, we might judge that as that, his consciousness wasn't raised high enough, but who knows? If his consciousness wasn't raised high enough, he could have been in such a bad accident that he might have lost his life. So the fact that he was in a fender bender didn't mean that his consciousness was low. It just meant that the universe was telling him to pay more attention to whatever was going on within him. You know, a weatherman can predict the weather, but they can't predict the barometric pressure. If the barometric pressure is high, the storm can't come in. But if the pressure is low, then the storm is actually drawn by a vacuum process. We can think about this in terms of individual experience. When the barometer is high, that is, when we're in a state of high awareness, high consciousness, the storms of life and difficulty pass us by. If the storm didn't pass, then the barometer has fallen, meaning we have fallen in our consciousness and need to make some adjustments. And I'm not saying this is easy. It's not. You know, when things are difficult, we can't help but feel them. But we need to know that there is a way out. This is why we say there are no accidents in life. The law of attraction is always working, repelling difficult things, drawing in that which is positive and good according to our individual consciousness and awareness. So if something comes into our life that's unpleasant, uncomfortable, or challenging, know it's there for a reason. The law of attraction brought it to you to learn and grow from. Don't beat yourself up. Don't commit metaphysical malpractice. Be compassionate with yourself and others. Just know the universe is telling us there's something that we need to address in consciousness. When we raise our consciousness to the awareness of the presence of God everywhere, always, and the awareness of the divine flow, then the law of attraction works for us in positive ways to draw only the good to us, and it pushes away all that is not. You know, when I was writing this, I thought about the Capital One commercial. The Capital One card slogan is, "What's in your wallet?" Well, the law of attraction asks us, what's in your consciousness? So I ask you, what's in your consciousness? And now I invite you to close your eyes as we move into meditation. So just allow yourselves to sit back in your seat. Allow yourselves to relax and take a deep breath and let it out. And take another deep breath and let it out through your mouth. Just allow yourself to relax. You feel your breath slowing down, and you breathe at a comfortable pace for you. And we allow ourselves to let go of anything that may be on our mind, any circumstance that we may be experiencing. And we just allow ourselves to focus on our heart, to focus on that center within us where love resides, where God resides, where the Christ within us is ever active. And we allow the activity of Christ, the awareness of the Christ within, to just move forth and be present right here, right now, in this moment. And we just breathe. The activity of spirit is ever present within me, in guiding me that all that I do, I experience only positive experiences because I know that I attract to me only that which is in my level of consciousness. And I am always expanding and growing and elevating this level of consciousness within me. I know the allness of God. I experience the presence of God within me and within my life. I know that God works only for good in my life. I know that I am a spiritual being having a human experience. And within my human experience, I encounter things that are not in alignment with who I know I am, with the truth of who I am. I allow these experiences to help me move forward on my path, to help me move forward in the elevation of consciousness. These experiences help me identify what may be lying in my subconscious mind that I'm not aware of. So where I experience lack, I allow abundance. So where I experience doubt, I allow truth and trust and faith to take over. Where I experience insecurity, I allow the truth of the divine presence within me to come forth stronger than I've ever experienced before. I know that I am a divine expression of the Creator, and I allow my consciousness to hold that truth and keep it ever present in the forefront of my mind. And now I allow myself to go deeper and deeper into the silence, and I just listen. And now we bring to mind anyone who may be in need of prayer. We pray for those on the Unity prayer list, for those on Silent Unity. And we extend these prayers to anyone who may be experiencing any difficulty or challenge in their lives, whatever level it may be on. We affirm that there's a power and a presence within them that will see them through any difficulty they are experiencing. We affirm that there's a power and a presence within them, guiding them along their healing path, helping them expand their consciousness and raising their vibrations. And we are so blessed to have the awareness that there is only one. And with that, we are so grateful. And now I invite you to bring your awareness back into your body, back into the room where you are. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And welcome back. And this is the time during our service where we have the opportunity to give. So I invite you to take your gifts and hold them in your hand. And if you use a credit card, you can visualize a credit card or the donate button on our website or the PayPal symbol, whatever works for you. And just feel the energy of love that you are moving down your arms into these gifts and just raising these vibrations of your gifts, knowing that God is our source and God consciousness is our supply. And we are so grateful for the ability to give and to receive. We give with love and we receive love. We bless these gifts and we receive blessings, unimaginable blessings. And we're so grateful for this awareness. So I invite you with your mics muted to bless these gifts with me. And together, divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I choose to give and all that I'm open to receive. And I am grateful.
And our closing song, certainly